Greetings everyone, Devar with Carib Sensations here, and in today's video what I'm going to show you is how we took two different varieties of sweet potatoes right here and turned them into this raised bed that you see behind me here. And we're going to do that right now. Let's go. Before we talk about what's growing in the raised bed, I want to take this time out and talk about the raised bed itself, and give a big shout out to Olle Gardens for sponsoring this video. Olle Gardens has a wide variety of beds to meet your needs. However, this is a 12-in-1 modular kit, meaning you can tailor it to fit your space perfectly. It is extremely easy to assemble and comes with everything you need, including gloves and a safety edge to protect you from sharp bits. It is made of corrugated steel, which is way more durable than wood or plastic, and rust resistant. If you're into deeper root veggies such as these sweet potatoes or even watermelons or anything similar, its 17-inch height is perfect. Plus, for those worried about our planet, it's 100% recyclable. So if you're passionate about gardening and want a bed that is both functional and eco-friendly, definitely give Olle Gardens a look. Product links can be found in the description below. Now back to our video. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started right away. Now, the first thing you have to do is when you go to the store is make sure you pick the right sweet potato. You're gonna need a glass jar. You're gonna need some water. This is an all-purpose 20-20-20 fertilizer mix. What I do is for every gallon of water, I'm gonna do about 1 scoop of this, and then just fill the jar here. Now you don't necessarily need it, but it does help. If you look, this is how I set my toothpicks around the base. Get your glass jar and you just place it right here, just like that, so it rests there. We're gonna fill the rest of this up with water just until it starts to touch the sweet potato. You don't necessarily have to go past that. You just fill it up right to there. About right there is all you need. Once you do this, it's just a waiting game. You go ahead and let this sit. Like I said, if you choose to add the nutrients, fine. What I'll do is I'll add just a little bit, probably about that much. So now I've added the nutrients in there. It kind of gave this a little bit of a blue tint, but that's okay. And believe it or not, this whole jar will be filled with roots, probably in like a month or so. Once you find a tuber that you like, then you go ahead and put it in water here, and it's just a waiting game at that point. Right now, I could tell you this is gonna be a slip that pops out of here. And you can look at certain areas of the sweet potato. It's almost like you could tell where those slips are gonna sprout from. Now, once you get those slips to sprout, all you have to do is just break these off. It doesn't hurt the plant at all. As a matter of fact, if I were to take this one and break this slip off of the plant, I can literally place this in some water and this will grow on its own, independent of the sweet potato tuber that we're using. So I planted about half the bed with this variety of sweet potato, and the other half of the bed over here with the purple variety of sweet potato. Now, this variety grew a lot faster, but as you can see, the purple variety is not too far behind. Sweet potatoes usually take about 120 days to harvest. However, no one says you can't leave them in the ground a little bit longer. If I'm not ready to use them, I'm not gonna pull them up, but I will make sure that I check on them just to make sure there's no damage to the tubers, there's no pest or anything that I really have to pay attention to. And then I can leave them in the ground as opposed to leaving them in the fridge. Now, one thing, when you harvest them, don't think that you could just pull them up out the ground and they're ready to eat. You need to let these sit for a while. What we do is we put them in the pantry in a paper bag and let them sit for about a week or so. Once they're able to sit, you'll notice they'll start to get sweeter, but don't just eat them directly out the ground. Now, just to give you a timeline so you have an idea, right around May is when I put the slips in water. And then I would say around June, July is when they were ready to go in the ground here. Probably put about 6 slips on this side and about 6 slips on the other side. And the rest of the slips I just gave away because it was just too much. Once they've produced enough slips, you're gonna notice the tuber is gonna start to get soft and it's gonna start to dry out. And the same roots that you have here will start to get black all around. 2 different varieties of sweet potatoes. Gave me a full bed. You can't beat that. What we're looking to do is get a second bed in here so I can start growing other crops similar to the sweet potato, or I may just do regular potato. It all depends. But now is the season where we're starting to get our leafy greens like our kale, cucumbers I have planted, different peppers. The time is going to start to get cooler. Also, pay attention to your zone. We're in zone 10 here in South Florida, and there's certain things that we're able to grow at certain times. If you live in South Florida, we're a subtropical climate. We don't really get the fullness of all 4 seasons, but it does get really hot here. Sweet potatoes are one of those plants that we're able to grow over the summer, and we don't just necessarily have to wait for the tubers. We can also eat the greens as well. People don't know the sweet potato greens are edible. You just get the young tender leaves, you cook them up similar to how you would cook up spinach. Guys, it's not as hard as you think. You can put this on your windowsill and you can just let the slips grow out as you want. If you don't have the space or you don't have a raised bed, then you can put this in a pot or one of the totes. We did a tote video to show you how to set that up. You can grow sweet potatoes in there. Preferably, you would want to grow them in a raised bed though, because the way we eat them, we need the space. The reason why we kind of chose to contain them in the raised bed is because those slips tend to run everywhere. There's so many times I have to take the slips and redirect them back into the bed, or just simply cut them off completely, which I'm probably gonna have to do a pruning job soon, which will probably help out the plant as well, because once you prune it, then it can focus more on producing some good tubers for us as opposed to the foliage. Either way, it's a win-win when you're growing sweet potatoes. So like I said, we planted this around May, and pretty soon we're gonna do a harvest. I'll do a part 2 of this video and show you when we harvest the sweet potatoes out of this bed, and you get to share with me the yield that we have here. It's our first time growing these sweet potatoes, and by the looks of it, they're doing a great job right now. Check out the accompanying article in the description below so you can see different tips and tricks that I use to help me get this raised bed full of sweet potatoes. I did try to companion plant, but the sweet potatoes just took over. I had some basil and oregano and some other stuff in here, but the sweet potato wanted all of the space. So I'm like, you know what? Go ahead and take it. We just move those plants to a different location, or we just let them get engulfed by all of the sweet potato slips that you see here. It's not that hard to grow these, and anyone could do it. All it takes is a little bit of your time, and it could go a long way. The time is gonna pass anyway. Start cultivating the land around you. Whether you live in a small apartment or you have an abundance of space, the time is now to start cultivating the ground around you. And it doesn't matter if you're growing in ground like we're doing here, or if you're growing vertically like we're doing on another side of the house here, or if you even want to grow them indoors. There's so many different ways now. The technology is there that can help us depending on any one of our conditions here. And it's up to us to utilize it to the fullest as possible so that we get the most benefit out of it. That's all I have for you today, guys. If you like this video, do me a favor and give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do other videos. Peace and love, and we'll catch you next time.